let's face it, guys. Football is not as interesting. Football is not as entertaining as it used to be. Somewhere along the line, something must have gone amiss. It must have taken a wrong turn. And I know that the vast majority of you will agree with everything that I'm saying today. And just wanted to say that, as a matter of fact, I can only nowadays mostly I can only watch when my team Arsenal plays, and maybe when there are big matches, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, Liverpool. Those are the only matches that I usually find myself watching. But the point is that football is not as interesting as it used to be, and even if you're to go online on YouTube and just try to watch these footballers from the past, their YouTube videos, the likes of Zidane, Ronaldo, Gaucho, then you will agree with me that these are the days when football was really football. And I just say this with so much love and so much respect, and I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. I know that most majority of you, when you watch those YouTube videos of past players, then usually gets feelings of nostalgia. You feel like there is something about modern day football that isn't right. That something is missing, and I know that I know that many people will agree with what I'm saying today. And it is not just this football from the past. It is not just these players. It is like everything. Remember when they used to create those awesome advertisements? Remember, have you ever watched Joga Bonito? Uh, Joga Bonito, Joga Bonito is I think Joga Bonito is the name of this person. Then on his videos, I think he's done a number of recordings of players, of several players. Remember this video of this young Gaucho dribbling past almost all these players. Zlatan, when he's trying to compare Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Ronaldo, he just walks into this dressing room and he finds Ronaldo. Then he shows him this. Then he shows him these moves by Zlatan and asks him, "Can you beat that?" Then Ronaldo goes ahead and also performs, and also shows him his that he also has awesome moves. Do you also know? Have you ever seen also this advertisement of when Brazil are about to play Portugal and they are in a tunnel and the match is about to start? Then these players, before they even get the pitch, they start. There's a ball somewhere, and they start like uh, they start playing. They start playing this football in the tunnel before they even reach the football pitch. Then it ends with the referee tackling. I think the referee tackle. I think it was Gaucho. Then the match started. Then there's also this advertisement of Pepsi. Have you seen this football advertisement of Pepsi? I think that that's everything. I believe that everyone gets exactly what I'm trying to say. That it is not just the football. It is not just the players. Even the advertisements were like awesome. They just like kicked ass. I know that when you remember likes of Beckham, Rooney, Gaucho, Pilo, Gerrard, Scholes, Yaya, and even to the older generation, likes of Maradona, Pele, Abedi Pele, Romario, and you just have to admit that, well, there's just something that isn't right with football. And so I really love football, and I've been really working harder. I believe that it is not just the mandate of the managers and players to change the football industry, but also you and I. We can also contribute to making football become better. So well, I've been really working hard, and I've been really well trying to find a solution, trying to figure out what really happened and when exactly did football well change for the worse. And I believe that I have found the solution to this problem, and I'd like to urge everyone kindly consider listening to this video, watching this video till the end, because I'm about to share something very exciting with everyone. So hear me out. We've had lots of generations. Football, the first edition of the World Cup took place in Uruguay in 1930. This is when this is when the first edition took place, 1930, and Uruguay ended up being as the victors. And football has evolved over the years. I don't have a problem with all these with certain generations of the past, because that was football back then, and there is nothing at all that they could do about it. Those were just the skills, those were just the moves that were around during those days, and I have nothing against it. And matter of and as a matter of fact, if you are to compare, let's say Pele with these modern day strikers like Henry, Ronaldo, then you might say that Pele sucks, but Pele was a great player. It's only that during those times there are probably certain skills that were available during those times. You know, with with as as demands keeps on increasing, then people have to come up with well solutions to meet these demands. And this is why somebody might say that Pele sucks when you compare him with modern day footballers, but Pele was a great player, and those were just the skills that were around during those days. And as a matter of fact, I went online and I tried to watch football from the past on YouTube, and I've been lucky enough to find two videos on YouTube. I've watched Czechoslovakia versus Brazil in 1954, and I also had the and also had the privilege to watch England versus West Germany in 1966 final, where England, that's the only World Cup that they've ever won. And funny thing about this 1966 World Cup is that England were leading by 1 goal to nil, and West Germany scored the equalizer with 60 seconds left to go. Imagine 1 minute. Then they took the game to extra time, and well, you get it. 1 minute, you're only 1 minute, you're only 60 seconds away from becoming a world champion. Then these people, well, they equalize and take the game to well extra time, and all the all the people that have been involved in football know that how painful they know how painful that is, and they know that England wanted to really win the game well in normal time. Anyway, and also I just like to and ask FIFA, well, if they can help us get well all these videos from the past. I like to watch World Cup final from 1930. I love football, and I don't mind watching football from 1930s, 30, all those editions of the World Cup. I love football, even past football is just really entertaining, and just like to urge FIFA if they can help us find these videos well from the past. I've already watched two: the 1966, 1954. There are several: 1970 Brazil versus Italy, and uh, and many others as well. I just like to urge FIFA to well help us find these videos. Anyway, here is exactly where football took the wrong turn, if I can just say. And allow me to talk about the last three generations of football. We have these generations of the likes of Maradona, Bebeto Carlos, Romario, Roberto Baggio, Frank Rijkaard, Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, Gareth Southgate, Socrates, Dunga. For the sake of this video, let me just call this the third generation. The third generation. The third. This is the third. Let me just call it the third generation. And this generation passed the baton to, well, the second last generation. This is the third last generation. Then we have no, they passed this baton to the let me just call it the second generation. And this second generation are the likes of Scholes, Beckham, Ronaldo, Henry, Vieira, Edu, Arteta, Messi, Ronaldo, and most of the people who were born in the 90s and 2000s. I believe these people had the privilege of watching, well, these players, because this is around the time when they had grown up, and this is when these players were at the peak of their careers. Then we have, let me just call this the modern day. Then we have this generation, the latest groups, the ones that are currently playing. I know probably there are one or two players from that second generation that are this generation, but I'm talking about this latest generation, the ones that are currently playing at the moment. And don't take this, and I just say don't take this the wrong way, fellas. Sometimes it's just called constructive criticism. Constructive criticism. Sometimes you need constructive criticism. Constructive criticism makes you become better. And I know that you guys can also reach the same level and even go beyond that. But just allow me to allow me to just allow me to just use the words that I'm allow me to just use the words that I'm using. Allow me to just, well, help you guys get football back to its best. So hear me out, my friends. There are many moves, skills, drills that have been lost. These latest generation don't perform some of these moves that this previous generation used to do. I mean, what happened to volleys, nutmegs, no look pass? It's called kanzu. We call it kanzu, but we call it kanzu in Kenya. When somebody, well, gets the ball to go over your. It's called kanzu. We call it kanzu. I don't know what you guys call it from your place. Rabonas, elasticos, footworks, and in my opinion, no other player in the history of football has, well, has many footworks like Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, Messi can dribble, but Ronaldo has over 1,000,001 footworks, my friend. This guy, I don't know, it's always working the ball with footworks, and Cristiano Ronaldo has like 1,000,001 footworks. And do you guys remember that wonder goal Zinedine Zidane scored against Bayern Leverkusen in the Champions League final? How about that David Beckham free kick against Greece at Old Trafford to send England to the World Cup? How about that Zlatan Ibrahimovic bicycle kick against England? Remember when Henry ran the whole pitch to score that goal against Inter Milan in the Champions League? Remember that Ryan Giggs goal against Arsenal in the FA Cup? And you guys get what I'm saying. These are some of the stuff that we as football fans want to see. See, my friend, football is an entertaining industry, and these players are supposed to entertain us. So these are some of the things these are some of the stuff, these are some of the skills, these are some of the moves that I like to see. That I also like to see. I also love to watch from these, well, modern day footballers. So having identified where, when, It's when and where. Time and when, time and where. Place. Having identified the problem, here is the simple solution to it. See, when I was in high school, my physics teacher, I can't remember what topic, I can't remember exactly what topic we were learning, but my physics teacher shared such a profound quote that I still remember up to this day. And the quote is that the wheel is one of the greatest inventions in modern history. People came up with the phrase, do not reinvent the wheel. And the wheel is and really the wheel is such an important, it's such a great invention. Just think of cars use wheel, and industries also use wheels. And you just have to admit that the wheel is one of the greatest inventions in modern history. So I also just love to use that same quote to football. Do not reinvent football, my friends. Do you want to see entertaining football? Then, all right. So then, just I just like to urge this latest generation, just play like the last two generations that I've just mentioned. You don't want to go further in the past, because football was not much developed that times. But the last two generations, the last two generations, my friends, the amount of talent that was in that pitch is just phenomenal. And I just like to urge all these current footballers to kindly consider modeling their games around these players. Pick a role model already. If you're a striker, get Henry, look at Henry, look at Ronaldo, look at Marco van Basten, look at his Beckham, look at Rooney, look at Drogba, look at Torres. Model a game around, look at Anelka, look at games around these players. If you're a goalkeeper, Oliver Kahn, Casillas, Peter Schmeichel, Van der Sar, Buffon, Dida, Couture, Manuel Neuer, David Seaman. If you're a defender, look at Vidic, Rio, Terry, Ricardo Carvalho, Rafael Marquez. If you're a right back, Cafu, Sanya, Gary Neville. And Gary Neville is usually they usually say that Gary Neville was the weakest link in Man United, that back four of Manchester United. But I just like to say that Gary Neville has played football for close to 20 years and he has won it all. And that's why I believe that Gary Neville also deserves his respect. And there's left back Ashley Cole, Roberto Carlos, Paulo Maldini, Evra, Clichy. If you're a midfielder, look at the likes of Cesc Fabregas, Steven Gerrard, Paul Scholes, Pilo, Edu, Roy Keane, Vieira. And my friends, these players are just extremely talented, and there is nothing new at all to learn about football. Just get yourself a role model and just try to play like them. And I just like to say that when you are young, people used to have names. We used to call ourselves Totti, Vieira, Henry. We had names of these great players because we wanted to play like them. That's why people used to call themselves names of these players, because they wanted to play like these players. These are the players that they thought were the best, and this is why we used to call ourselves the names of these great players. So there is nothing new to learn about football. And my journey as a footballer, I just like to say that I think I used to play. I just came to realize that I think I used to play like Cesc Fabregas, because I'm an Arsenal fan and I've been watching Arsenal for quite a lot of it. For I never used to miss any Arsenal match, as a matter of fact, and I just came to realize that I used to play like Cesc Fabregas. See, the thing is, when you watch football week in, week out, and you watch certain players how they play, then your mind starts to grasp the way these players, the way their movements, their style of play, and it's just so amazing what your mind can do, and it's just amazing how your mind can what your mind can do. All right, it's just so amazing how your mind can grasp like everything. So allow me to continue sharing more ways in which you can use to get football back to its very best. Bring back those glory days. See, number one is football is more mental than any other aspect. Football is more mental than technical. Football is more mental than physical or any other aspect. You must learn how to think, act, and even talk like a footballer. See, football is played with your mind, and Rapilio shared such a great quote. Football is played with your mind. Your your feet and your hands are just tools to help you well accomplish your tasks. And there's also another interesting quote from Dennis Bergkamp. Behind every move, there must be a thought behind it. So the big question is, how do you train your mind to think like a footballer? To be able to read and understand the game, every move in a game. See, when it comes to developing your technical skills, then you only have to encourage the players to spend quality time with the ball. See, yes, but when it comes to physical, then players have to run, gym. There's cons. They have to master all these drills. They have to develop quick feet, and that's it with physical and technical. But how do you train your minds to think like a footballer? So one thing that played such an important part in my journey as a footballer, in my development as a footballer, and I like people to just listen to this very carefully, is that I simply used to watch lots and lots of football, and I believe that when you watch, when you observe, then you learn a lot. So simply observe. Observe. I've never joined an academy. I don't think there's anybody who has ever taught me any football. But I think that I just learned football from simply watching, and we just went to the pitch one time and we just started playing football, and that is just it, from just simply watching football. So at least two matches every weekend, and I just and I remember when we were in primary school. See, the Champions League used to take place. The Champions League takes place on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and in my place, it usually it usually starts late at around 9:45 to 10:45 p.m. And here's the thing: tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning you have school. You have to wake up and go to school. But I could never miss But most people could never miss the Champions League. And my parents, somebody might ask me, does your parents not have any problem with staying up till late when you have school in the morning? Well, I believe my parents was just liberal. As long as tomorrow you could wake up and go to school, then well, they never had a problem with it. See that following morning before classes start, my friends, people used to talk about football. And trust me, you don't want to be left behind when everyone is talking about football. So it was just a way to bond. We laughed, cracked jokes, and so that is just it. Anyway, my point is, I would like to encourage your players to watch as many games as they can, and just a word of caution: not at the expense of schoolwork, not at the expense of other important duties, but encourage them to watch as many games as possible. See, this is a passion that needs to be cultivated from when you're young, and once this passion once you become passionate about football, passion is the fuel that drives people to become better footballers. The fuel. This is what makes us come to the football pitch each and every day to train. It is just simply passion, because you are passionate about this football. You are passionate about this activity. So watching football is one of the ways in which You can train your mind to think like a footballer. And it's so amazing what our minds can learn to grasp. Simply watch lots and lots of games. All these skills, all these moves, they simply they'll become a part of you after watching. You just find yourselves you can well perform certain moves, certain skills because you just simply used to observe and you just sort of like absorbed all these moves, all these skills by simply watching all these footballers. So another way to train your mind is that simply listen to your coaches, your trainers, and other great footballers. They'll give you tips on how to become a better footballer. So latest I had the latest piece of advice that I heard from Arsene Wenger was that a good player constantly scans the pitch. A good player constantly scans the pitch, and you need to know where are my teammates, where are my opponents, how do I beat these players, who am I going to pass the ball to when I receive the ball, and that you must learn how to think. And that's scanning. Scanning must learn how to be. It's called awareness. And one time, Thomas Vermaelen shared something I think very interesting. And I think that Thomas Vermaelen one time said that during training, it was very impossible for one to take the ball away from Cesc Fabregas. Thomas Vermaelen said that it's like this guy had eyes at the back of his head, and that he knows just like where everyone is. He knows like getting the ball from Cesc Fabregas. It was pretty tough. So also kindly share with me other ways in which you can use to train our minds to think like a footballer, and I like to know that. So allow me to also talk about football academies. So all these talents that you see on the football pitch, all these players, they were once young boys, young girls that they are just enrolled in football academies. They are just training in the football academies, and football academies are like they're like the industries. This is where you take your raw materials and it is processed into a finished good product. And it is very interesting that much as we much as there are lots and lots, much as we all come to the pitch and play football, then it is very interesting that that despite all the number of clubs and nations that we have around the whole world, all these teams play different football. I don't know if you guys get what I'm trying to say is that Spain does not play the same way as England. The United States does not play the same way as Mexico. Yet all these players, well, have all gone through the academies, and this is just down to the philosophies, their models operandi, how are they taught football, and it is just down to they seem to emphasize maybe other academies seem maybe to emphasize certain qualities. Others maybe spend so much time on technique and flair and dribbling, because if you watch players from Brazil, then it's like these players that just spend the whole day with the ball. My friends, the kind of moves, the kind of drills Brazilians can do with the ball is just amazing. Brazil and Argentina, Portugal. I might also watch same mention Portugal because of Cristiano Ronaldo and Luis